proper education. There are certain things we need in the classroom. For example, we need a proper chalkboard. Some of the chalkboards, in fact, are not very good. Some of them are very old. Books, the libraries, the books that some of these libraries offer are not the type of books that we really need. And how many children go to the National Library? Not many of them.
The ministry started at the right position. They started at the primary school level. They are looking at those who do not have a pass, who have not been to Gambia College. These are the ones they are targeting. And you see in 2 years, I will give you 2 years, you will see the improvement and you see the change of perception in the kids. They will be loving the subject. They have done their own. I can tell you some of them, for just attending that one, they are paid. But yet still we see as tutors that some of them are there only for the money. You see, they have been confined to read that I cannot do math, even with teachers. Even when you tell them, okay, now you are going to take the WASC exam, they say, me, WASC exam, me. You see, but they are the ones teaching the kids. So what we try to do is to encourage them, tell them this is a two-phase. If you cannot pass the math exam at WASC, which may be very hard for you because of the length, the contact hours we have with them, and the syllabus, the span of the syllabus, but you have learned something new that you can pass to the kids.
So what is the requirements? You must have the materials. You must be interested in the subject. When you're interested in it, that is one way you can show whether you are ready to actually change that opinion, that maths is difficult. Like there are materials necessary for the subject. You have a calculator, mathematical set, and log books and stuff like that. So we expect you, if you are really interested, when you come to class, you must have all of this. That means you are ready for the merit.
Government is doing its best by giving things like retention allowance, graduate allowance. These things are okay. Just that teachers should be more motivated in the fact that teachers would like to live big like very many other people. If you just think of how you will feel after having taught a child for about, maybe you taught the child 4 years ago, the child went to the university or maybe GTTI to have AAT. After working, once the child or the, yes, he's now an adult, once the person starts working, within 3 years he has a car and you are still working on foot. You the teacher will feel dejected. You will feel you are not part of the world because you will feel happy and feel you are part of the world when things are happening on your side. So what I want to encourage is for the government to create more incentives like loan facilities for teachers who have been serving for long so they can have access to loans to maybe erect their own buildings or do something that will make them feel they are worthwhile in society. But you keep giving and nothing is coming to you, you feel let down. You feel you are totally out of it.
As ways of improving performance, they are saying that they prescribe the following measures: full coverage of the syllabus before the examination. That candidates, should, cover the syllabus in terms of, learning and teaching, and that they should be able to go through all the topics of the syllabus for them to excel or do significantly well in the examination. Candidates should refrain from mere listing of points. Now they are looking at their weaknesses. Some of them will just list points, but they must also learn to substantiate those points where the question requires you to do that. Not only to list, but also to go beyond listing and explain certain issues. Okay, candidates should be made to do a lot of exercises, assignments, practical work where required. These are of course important because they will set the pace for that candidate and set the stage for him to do better in the actual exam or in the next exam. Candidates should desist from attempting all the questions where a choice is required. These are all part of the rubrics. Answer 5 questions out of the rest, and you answer 10 or all the questions. That is also a disadvantage. I think the best strategy is to make sure that you map out the questions that you can answer very well, you are sure, and then you work on those questions, yes, before you move to the others. Then in 2011, of course, the chief examiners also made suggestions. Candidates should read widely to develop their vocabulary. This is more so important in English language, very important. Coherent presentation of their ideas for both mathematics and English language, and in fact all the subjects. Candidates should develop their points rather than merely list them, which we already mentioned. They should read the instructions before attempting the questions. They should be exposed to past question papers because this will give them an idea, of what they expect. They give them at least, if they have exposure to these past question papers, they can build up, some kind of strategy based on their past experience on these question papers, and that would actually help them to do better in the exam. In 2012, students, they should be meticulous. Of course, after these are the suggestions of this year's chief examiners. They should be, some of them were found to be not that meticulous in terms of, arrangement of their work. For example, in terms of their work output, and not very neatly arranged or not very neatly drawn up. They should pay attention to what they see as little faults, especially in English language. They talk of punctuation, where punctuations are required to be put, they were left out in a number of scripts, spellings, the use of tenses, etc., etc. So it tells you that the biggest challenge there would be usage, English language usage, punctuation, spellings, tenses, where to use them, when to use them, and so on. Candidates should form study groups. They are also suggesting they should form study groups for better sharing of ideas and confidence building in mathematics and English language as well as in other subjects.
You have two types of questions that all examination bodies should try to avoid. That is questions that are too tough for students so that there would be mass failure. And the questions that are too simple so that everybody would pass. Everybody would be certificated. So the questions should be able to differentiate between the good students and the bad students. So we have our own mechanisms whereby we regulate the validity and reliability of our questions, so that our questions are at medium level. We don't set top questions that are very tough to encourage mass failure, and also we don't set questions that are very simple so that everybody would pass. Yes, because here we are testing abilities. We are trying to test, aptitude. The candidate, once you pass the worst level, once you say that you have a credit in English language, you should be able to proceed to university and do English language. Once you have a credit in economics, you should be able to proceed to university and read economics. Once you have credit in literature and so on, you should be able to proceed to read law and so on. So that if, the worst level, if the worst, program does not predict performance at university level, it's useless. That is, if performance in WAS does not correlate with performance in university, then the examination is useless. So we are trying to set questions that are reasonably, or moderately, difficult, so that the candidate, once he passes this level, he can proceed to university without any problem. English and mathematics, to some extent, are dreaded subjects, because like mathematics, the fear starts at the primary level. Some people, when they are in mathematics, they have phobia. When they are in the primary school, that is the time they begin to develop phobia for mathematics. And for English, one issue is, wide reading. You have to be reading widely. You don't have to depend on the interaction in the classroom.
At the end of the examination, the chief examiner's reports are produced, and they are also distributed to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and not only that, but to various stakeholders. And the contents of that report, or those reports, are actually discussed at various fora. Like they are discussed even within WAEC first, they are discussed also at the ministerial level, where you have CCM meetings. These are coordination meetings which attract, all the stakeholders in the country, and they meet and discuss, the performance of candidates particularly. They discuss what the chief examiners are saying and try as much as possible through the various conferences, particularly if it is for WAS, the Conference of Principals of Senior Secondary Schools. They look at the issues raised by the chief examiners and try as much as possible to set up workshops that will look into these issues and see how much they can improve on, probably on the teaching, and of course finally or subsequently the performance of candidates. And I'm sure it's a very dynamic area, really, if you look at it, that we also give chief examiners reports to schools